Alrighty, welcome to the sound booth. uh, this is basically just a presentation I did at AAEP Virtual 2020. So welcome to the sound booth. My name is RJ Poston. I've been at Sound and Tech for about 8 years. I've got a long history in laser. I cover all of North America and I do all the sales and training and development and so forth. As you probably know, we are Mars owned and we have Antech Diagnostics and Imaging, as well as all the sound equipment, veterinary, small animal, as well as equine. So we are considered the gold standard in the veterinary equipment field and diagnostics. As you can see, we've got CT, we've got digital x-ray over there on the left, and then ultrasound on the right, and of course now lasers. And so let's talk about that. My goal here is to talk about the 5 things you want to know now about equine laser. I'm trying to make this short and sweet. It's not laser 101, but let me know if you want that course as well. You know, mechanisms of action, tissue interaction, Krebs cycle type of stuff. But this is kind of a zoom out 35,000 foot view. So let's get into it. What are those 5 things? I'm going to talk about the technology, street credibility, treatability, what's in it for you, and what's the deal. So some of this is time sensitive, but we'll get to that in the end. Okay, let's talk about the technology. Many of you in the equine world have heard about or seen this big unit on the left that's called now the classic RLT. Okay, we brought that over. I'll talk about that in a second. But basically, it's big. It was pricey. It was, 220 power. It needed a generator, and it had a reputation for breakdown. Well, that was back in 2011, 2012. In about 2015 and 2016, we launched the middle one there called the Smart RLT, and that was a huge success. And now, fast forward to 2019, we launched the one on the far right there called the Smart RLT Sport version. Okay, basically all these have the same secret sauce, the same spec, but we've made it better, more efficient with more robust technology. And of course, you can see they're smaller, lighter, and the key here, more reliable. Okay, so the software is awesome. I think you saw some of that on the opener, and we can talk about that in just a moment. Okay, so this is the very best in regenerative laser medicine. What's under the deck? What's inside? I say the ingredients. The 5 basic things to know are: this is an Nd:YAG laser. It's a solid state. We use one wavelength, the 1064 nanometer wavelength. And the key here is we have up to 2,000 millijoules per pulse, and that's awesome. This is an 11,000 watt laser. Okay, how does that compare? I always say I'm not afraid to talk about other lasers that are out there. I think they all work more or less, and I've been doing this a long time, but it's important to kind of differentiate and explore that a little bit. So here's what I want to do. I want to talk about what's out there. Sometimes, you say, oh, well, a laser is a laser is a laser, right? No, not exactly true. But before any vet will just throw a laser into their shopping cart, I want to explore so we can all understand that there are indeed major differences in these laser modalities. Sometimes, buyer's remorse and dust can settle in if and when your expectations aren't met and also exceeded. Okay. Like I said, I think they all pretty much work, but like lasers, there are big differences in like hotels. There's a Ritz-Carlton, there's a Motel 6. But what we need to do here, and I'm going to do it very quickly, is follow the evidence. So I want to caution you about buying just on a price point or just because it's super small or whatever. And that might be fine, but I want to make sure you understand that all lasers are not created equal. So the first one here, as you've probably been looking at, is the Pegasus. And I work for this company. It's called LightCure many, many years ago. It's a great laser. It's just fine. And it's about $25,000, give or take. It's therapeutic only. You can see some of the spec that they use there. 15 watt laser, a couple different wavelengths. They do continuous wave pulsing, but it's a diode semiconductor. These guys have been around for about 14 years now, but the indications are for pain inflammation, and wounds. Now, when you click on published studies on their website, don't worry, you don't have to. I've done it for you just the other day. So published papers, and I use quotes, air quotes there. You've got a published paper, human, dog, something on ATP production, that's fine. Human, and then a little bit about photobiomodulation and so on and so forth, okay? Great. When I click on this first published paper, here's what I get, okay? And I've done it for you. Good, high intensity laser, that is not a high intensity laser. Our system is. When you look here at the spec here, an Nd:YAG, that's not an Nd:YAG laser. When you look here, it's 1064. They don't use a 1064. So unfortunately, the very first one that they offer you is not even based on their type of laser by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, so I could go on and on, but I'm not. Now, the next one, and again, when you click on case studies here, we have some stuff to look at here. What are these case studies really talking about? So this is a goat, and it's not very clear. We got a horse wound, one SDF, and this, by the way, Dr. Regal, nice man, but he's employed by this company. So look at this and take a look, but they've got one SDF ultrasound after 14 years, and then you got wound. So those are their case studies, okay? So again, indications, wounds, all right? So let's move on to the next one. Oh, sorry about that. Let's move on to the next one. So you've got these handheld lasers. They're very inexpensive, about 13,000 or so. These are class 3B lasers. I don't care what they say. It's a class 3B. These are handheld lasers. Here's the key. It works, you know, wounds and some anti-inflammatory, but this is something that you rent to horse owners. It's very low risk, and you rent them, and the horse owners will take them home and laser their horse. Fine. Case studies, we don't see any published. White papers, there's a few, but those are really just marketing pieces, and I won't get into that right now, but it really doesn't give us anything conclusive. There's nothing scientific about it. Okay, the last one here is not even available in the States. It was once or twice, but it's not even available here. And this has some promise, and I like seeing these studies, but this one was on about 150 horses. The only issue I had with this study was that it was on multiple anatomical areas, you know, not just maybe an SDF or a hind suspensory, but other things and wounds and whatnot. But every one of them was with other, so with PRP or with stem cell or with shockwave. Okay, so anyway, but very interesting nonetheless. All right, I'll say that, you know, all those lasers that I just showed you, we have one of those too. Okay, it's called the Dr. Vet. We sell a lot of these, and because of what you see here, it's basically got the same power and specs as like the Light Cure, the K Laser one, stuff like that, but it's much better pricing, a better warranty. It's got the simple user interface, and it does have equine settings. So if you're interested in something like that, let's talk about it. Going back to the regenerative laser and the technology, you kind of saw the promo that this new sport has, but I want to show you a very quick clip, what I call start to finish. And this gives you an idea of how easy this thing is to use when you delegate to lay staff to use. So let's take a look at this. All right, that was a cool video. Very quickly, here's another one. I like using this one. This is done by Dr. Sammy Pittman, a vet, a podiatrist. And this I'm only showing you because I like to show the horse owners this, because this makes the laser a little more tangible. As you can see, he's coating this area using a thermal scope, not necessarily a medical grade piece of equipment, but nonetheless, it lets us see that the laser is actually touching the skin. And you'll see here in a minute, it's pretty cool. So I like to show this to horse owners, and so they know, oh, there's something actually coming out of it. Well, let's talk about what's coming out of it, and let's talk about how laser works very quickly. I don't want to hone in on this too much, but there is a real difference between therapeutic lasers and the regenerative therapeutic lasers. So let's talk about that very quickly. Photobiomodulation, that's what all these lasers are doing. And it's important to talk about these three things. So what is it? It's increasing localized blood flow. So microcirculation, we're enhancing tissue oxygenation, and then we're stimulating the cellular metabolism. So combined, this is going to lead to a general effect of stimulating the body to basically function exactly as it does naturally. However, the laser is doing it a little bit faster and a little more efficiently. Okay. This benefits those pathologies that would get better naturally if the patient, had enough rest and good nutrition and definitely enough time. Mostly this would include, sprains and strains, bruises, wounds, stuff like that. That's therapy. Where we draw the line in the sand, however, is the regenerative advantage, as I like to say. That's achieved when light is delivered in these very short, high energy pulses. When these pulses are absorbed deep into the tissue, it creates this outgoing shockwave like effect. We call it a photoacoustic wave, or you can say photomechanical property. Okay. That helps propagate even deeper into the tissue. More importantly, and wavelength has a lot to do with that and power. More importantly, though, the waves, these photoacoustic waves, interact with the extracellular matrix, and this is key. That's the web of tissue around the tendon ligament that holds those growth factors. So the RLT technology, it forces those growth factors to be released and then absorbed into the injured cells where they would not have naturally. So we're forcing the body to really realign. We're forcing. Okay. So a horse that has scar tissue in a tendon, that's not going to just go away on its own. We need an outside force to do that. And this laser and this technology has been shown to do it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. Okay. So, sorry, I skipped ahead there. Um, so the challenge here that I always like to offer is to visit those vendor manufacturer websites and look for real efficacy, real studies done on horses, not just humans and pets, right? Look at these equine athletes. So we all need to do our part. And I think sound has been very responsible in the science and the study part. Okay. The DNA that you find in the animal lasers just don't exhibit those regenerative capabilities. Okay. Let's talk about some street cred, as I like to say. Back in the early days, we just had one-off horses. This is a one-off case at Washington State using that very first laser that you can see down there, the classic RLT, doing a stifle at Washington State. And, we got some post-mortem stuff here. Great. It was really neat to see that. Then you've got some sheep stuff here with some histo, and that's all good. But what does it mean in the real world? So then we started using it, for reals, as they say. And I call this evidence of efficacy. Now we're talking about clinical cases, looking at MRI, ultrasound, some X-ray. So this is one of the very first horses that we ever treated. KO, it's very well documented. A lot of people know about this case. Dr. Norm Rantanen was behind this, as well as Mark Martinelli, doctor in Southern California. This horse comes in ready to be euthanized, had a necrotic deep flexor tendon at the attachment, very difficult. They tried everything, and we lasered it, and we went through the heel bulbs and through the frog and sole area, and voila, we regenerated that tendon in an extremely difficult place. That horse is still alive today and sound. And we got lots of long-term follow-up on that. But since then we have hundreds and hundreds of case studies from things like this. Straight sesamoidian ligament, I think here, um, and so many others. And recent cases, these hind suspensories and branches. This is a tear here, in which they call a kiss of death for a jumper, and we're able to repair with quality. And these horses are all going back to work basically at the same level. Um, and you know what? They're not re-injuring. They're not re-injuring. We're getting a quality repair here. So I can tell you all about that and all about these cases here. Lots of hind suspensories. That's a good one. Inferior check ligaments and branches and SDFs are easy, and deep flexor tendons and so on. Okay, here's just a little bit about the study. It's hopefully going to be in the EVJ this spring, we're hoping, of 2021. We've been trying, and of course, COVID hit right when we were getting ready, or when it was getting ready to publish. But this is a beautiful scan by the great Roy Poole down at Texas A&M, showing the fiber pattern, the crimp pattern here of a treated versus non-treated. Pretty amazing. And then we have a ton of these, anecdotal evidence articles and stuff like this all over. I just including two here, but there's tons of them. So what do we have? We put it all together. Street credibility. We got a bunch of case reports, mountains of them. We got the controlled double-blinded study. I always say, don't take my word for it. Ask your colleagues. And here you see number 4, Sue Dyson. Those guys bought one. Professor Denoy went out there to train those guys, and they're using it for their rehab. And so many big names are behind this. And we also have 12 years of R&D to show you, and 30 abstracts. So it comes with a lot of clout. Here's a map. I try to update this all the time. If you zoom in, there's even more horses there, but there's tons of people that are getting this and counting. Why? Because people talk to each other and they know that it works, and it's got a really good return on investment. What can we treat? Treatability, as I like to say. So there's 4 major areas, okay? Pre-performance, acute cases, chronic, and you can throw in rehab with that, pretty much the same thing. I like to tell you that we're going from pole to sole. We're treating almost everything on the horse when they're presenting pain and inflammation, and core lesions and tears and stuff in the bone and joint. So we're treating muscles, we're treating sore backs, acute things like that, shoulders, bicipital bursitis, whatever. But we're also doing bone and joint. We're getting into the SI. We're doing kissing spines. We're treating sesamoids like crazy, hocks. Then you got your tendons, you got your ligaments, you've got your branches, and you've got all kinds of stuff that we're doing very successfully. And then things that are in the foot, deep flexor tendon, navicular, the bursa, collateral ligaments, and of course, laminitis. So what's in it for you? I like to always say, let's get a piece of equipment that makes money for you. We don't want to collecting dust, certainly. So this is just a little calculator where you can go in. So put your numbers in, see what you get, and it's beautiful. Then if you look at the next screen here, I just want to sum it up this way. It's operated by a technician. This is something I don't like you to touch. I like you to delegate to lay staff. Insurance is really starting to pick it up. Great American was one of the first, and many others are covering it now, and we keep going down that road. I just talked about ROI. It's there. Everybody knows it. This is a new service offering for your clients. You can promote that. It's cutting edge technology. They love hearing about that. There is a competitive advantage for sure. And by the way, on that note, you won't be competing against your clients, because I don't sell to non-veterinarians. This is only a product that we offer to veterinarians, okay? It's adjunctive with almost everything, and you will get the best training and the best support. The last thing is, it's really all about the results, okay? So what's the deal? Here's the machine. These are all discounted finally to under $50,000. Let's talk about Antech Diagnostics, because maybe you got a contract renewal, or maybe you'd like to explore, maybe you're unhappy with what you're currently doing. Antech may be able to offer a portion of the pricing. So that's something we got to at least explore a little bit, and then you can learn more about them. Financing. What a lot of people are doing right now is they're going with 0 down, no payments for 6 months, and then only $99 for the next 6. It should be paid off within that period. But after that, then you got your low monthly payment. So it's fantastic. Now, there is a special deal. Just contact me. It ends December 31st or until our inventory runs out. I get lower and lower every day. So let's talk. And you can contact me here on what you see here on your screen. There's a calendar function, but there's my number. You can text me. I'm located in Texas, and there's my email. Thank you for your time. Let me know any questions you might have.